Hello everyone, in this video I'll be going over Chapter 7, Thinking, and we'll be covering cognition, language, problem solving, and intelligence. So first, what is cognition? Go ahead and take a moment to think what cognition is, and then formulate some ideas of what you first think cognition is before we go over thinking and this chapter. So cognition, or cognitive psychology, is the study of how people think, solve problems, produce language, and process knowledge. And when we learn about the different things in our environment, we take in sensory input from our senses, so the 5 senses, and then process them into memories that are categorized. And our brain automatically categorizes information like a file cabinet. There are large umbrella topics that our brain stores, and then there are subfiles that hold the details of that larger topic. And then when we want to recall these topics, we have to rethink about this information we retained by pulling out one of those file cabinets. So those thoughts that you see here are recalled memories or recalled knowledge that we have retained and now want to access. And in order for our brain to organize information like a file cabinet, we need to store information into concepts, which are categorized groups of retained information, images, ideas, memories, or experiences. These are big ideas and larger concepts that our brain holds, and our brain gathers details about a certain topic and forms them into complex and abstract concepts. And then within those concepts are prototypes, which is the representation of that concept. These are details and examples that your brain stores within concepts in order to represent a topic. So for example, if you have the concept of psychology, which is a large overarching topic, and then have a prototype of that concept. That can be the brain, or it can be subtopics of psychology, or you might visualize an image of psychology as helping people, and these are the representations or prototypes of the initial concept of psychology. And then further, we can break down these concepts into natural or artificial concepts. A natural concept is created from direct or indirect natural experiences and observations, which allows you to learn and understand something. An example of this could be learning about snow. So based off your direct observations of snow, we know that it's white, we know that it can be cold, and it can look beautiful. And then there are artificial concepts, which are created from learning a specific set of characteristics. And for these concepts, we need to understand and learn the basic understandings of this concept. So for example, this could be learning a mathematical formula to create geometric architecture, as you see here, or even just knowing a formula for a math test. And so we have all these concepts that we hold in our brain, but many of these concepts may overlap. And so when these concepts do overlap, we call them schemas, which are mental constructs of a cluster or collection of related concepts in order to organize information efficiently within the brain. And we have different schemas as well. There's a role schema in which our brain makes assumptions about how individuals in certain roles will behave. For example, if you first meet a doctor, your brain would provide you with the knowledge about how you might think this doctor will behave according to what you learned about doctors. The same goes for other roles, such as a business person or an artist. And then we could have event schemas, known as cognitive scripts, which are a set of behaviors that can feel like a routine or a procedure. For example, when you drive your car, you know the steps and the procedural memory to be able to drive the car without much thought behind it. or when you have your morning routine, you have a set behaviors that can feel like a routine in the morning, such as brushing your teeth, eating breakfast, or showering. And then let's create an example about the process of cognition, so applying all of these different concepts, prototypes, and schemas. So let's think, say we want to learn about Star Wars. Our concept is the overarching concept of movies or the sci-fi genre. And we could have a natural concept, so we observe Star Wars for the first time, and just our initial observations or experiences with watching that. Or we could have an artificial concept in which we learn about the specific characteristics of the film and learning about the characteristics of each character. And the prototype would be the example of Star Wars. And then we might have a schema in which movies that are similar to Star Wars in the sci-fi genre, which is a collection of all the movies that are similar to Star Wars in the initial concept of a sci-fi genre. And we could have a role schema, which makes assumptions about how characters will behave, or how the real people that resemble these characters. Or an event schema, which talks about the routine of talking about Star Wars to other people, or the routine of how to watch Star Wars, and the order to watch Star Wars. And that's our example of really the process of cognition using these terms that we just learned about. Make sure you practice these terms by maybe applying an example like this to help you learn about these terms.